Welcome, listeners, to the next episode of They Didn't Teach That at School. My name is Mark Kerrigan, and the theory behind this podcast is to uncover some of the amazing, fascinating, and quirky things that have occurred throughout history that they didn't teach you at school. Our first 10 podcasts are going to focus on the Bible, and we are going to discover some incredible things that you probably didn't know. Today's episode is part 2 of a 2-part podcast. In the previous podcast, we looked at 5 of 10 distinct archaeological artefacts in history that corroborate with texts found in the Old Testament. In this week's episode of Ancient Artefacts, we will examine the other 5 artefacts. The artefacts we will investigate today are the Pool of Bethesda, the Tel Dan Stele, the Mesha Stele, the Cyrus Cylinder, and finally, the Pilate Stone. Each of these artefacts reveal not only a fascinating insight into how these civilisations conducted themselves, but how the Hebrews observed and recorded their interactions with their neighbours. So let's dive straight in and discover what we can about the Pool of Bethesda. Located in the heart of Jerusalem during ancient times, the Pool of Bethesda holds a prominent place in biblical history. This magnificent pool is mentioned in the New Testament of the Bible, specifically in the Gospel of John. But what was the Pool of Bethesda? Why was it built? And what purpose did it serve? To understand the significance of the Pool of Bethesda, we must travel back in time to the era when it was constructed. The pool was built during the reign of the Hasmonean dynasty around the 2nd century BCE, making it over 2,000 years old. The name Bethesda comes from the Hebrew language, which means house of mercy or house of grace. The pool itself was believed to possess healing powers. It was widely recognized as a place where miraculous cures could occur, and people would flock to its waters seeking relief from their ailments. According to the Gospel of John, the pool had 5 covered colonnades, creating a portico-like structure. This architectural design suggests that the Pool of Bethesda was not just a simple bathing spot, but rather a place of gathering, contemplation, and perhaps even worship. The pool was surrounded by a bustling marketplace where vendors would sell various goods. It was not just a place of physical healing, but also a social hub where people from all walks of life would congregate. The atmosphere would have been vibrant and diverse, reflecting the rich cultural tapestry of Jerusalem. The most famous story associated with the Pool of Bethesda is the account of Jesus healing a paralysed man. According to the Gospel of John, Jesus encountered a man who had been ill for 38 years. He asked the man if he wanted to be healed, to which the man replied that he had no one to help him into the pool when the water was stirred. Legend had it that an angel would periodically descend upon the pool and stir its waters. It was believed that the first person to enter the pool after the stirring would be healed of their affliction. Now, the mention of an angel stirring waters might sound like a mystical tale, but there's more to this story than meets the eye. Over the centuries, scholars and theologians have debated the authenticity of the miracle associating with the pool. Some argue that the stirring of the waters was symbolic, representing a spiritual awakening or divine intervention. Others believe there could have been a natural explanation, such as an intermittent spring or underground water flow causing the occasional turbulence. Beyond the miraculous healings, the Pool of Bethesda held cultural and religious significance for the people of that time. The pool itself had 2 sections divided by a colonnade and was surrounded by 5 covered porches. This archaeological design suggested that the pool served a more significant purpose than merely providing water for bathing or drinking. It was a gathering place for those seeking solace, healing, and hope. Many individuals afflicted with various ailments, disabilities, and diseases would congregate around the pool in the hope of being cured. Can you imagine the atmosphere surrounding the Pool of Bethesda? The sound of whispers, cries, and the rustling of desperate souls filled the air. People from all walks of life with different conditions would gather with the shared belief that this sacred pool held the key to their deliverance. Despite its reputation as a healing sanctuary, the Pool of Bethesda eventually fell into disrepair. Over the centuries, the site was covered, built over, forgotten, and the pool was lost, buried beneath the layers of history. However, during an archaeological excavation in the mid-19th century, the remains of the pool and surrounding structures were rediscovered. Today, the Pool of Bethesda is no longer an active body of water. The pool remains an archaeological site preserved as testament to ancient times. Visitors to Jerusalem can still witness the remnants of the colonnade and the porches, leaving a poignant reminder of the pool's past glory and a sense of the profound history that unfolded within its waters. Our next artefact is the Tel Dan Stele. To set the stage, let's travel back in time to the 9th century BCE. We find ourselves in the region known as the Levant, where the kingdoms of Israel and Judah were flourishing. It is during this period that a monumental discovery took place in Tel Dan, an archaeological site located in modern-day northern Israel. In 1993, an excavation team led by Israeli archaeologist Avraham Biron unearthed a stone monument that would soon send shockwaves through the academic and biblical research communities. This artifact came to known as the Tel Dan Stele, or the House of David inscriptions. The Tel Dan Stele is an ancient inscription carved on a black basalt stone, measuring about 3 feet tall and 2 feet wide. Scholars believe that the stele was erected to commemorate King Hazael's victory over his enemies, specifically the kings of Israel and Judah. The inscription, written in ancient Aramaic, describes how Hazael defeated these kings and their armies. This triumph was likely a significant event for Hazael, as it solidified his authority and expanded his kingdom's borders. The purpose of the stele was not only to boast of King Hazael's military achievements, but also to establish his legitimacy as a ruler. In the ancient world, inscriptions like the Tel Dan Stele were common tools used by monarchs to assert their power and authority. By documenting his victories and displaying them publicly, Hazael aimed to solidify his position and deter any potential challenges. But what makes the Tel Dan Stele so extraordinary is the mention of a figure believed to be the biblical king Jehoram of Israel. The inscription refers to him as the House of David, providing the first direct historical evidence of King David's lineage, igniting a fervent debate among scholars and archaeologists alike. Scholars have long debated the historicity of King David, as the biblical accounts were the primary sources for information about him. The Tel Dan Stele is the first non-biblical reference to the House of David, providing strong evidence for his existence. The mention of the House of David on the Tel Dan Stele validates the biblical narrative to a certain extent. It suggests that David was a significant figure, ruling over a powerful kingdom and leaving a lasting impact on the region. While the Tel Dan Stele supports the existence of King David, it also sheds light on the geopolitical landscape of ancient Israel. It mentions both the King of Israel and the King of the House of David, suggesting the existence of two separate entities, the Kingdom of Israel and the Kingdom of Judah. This distinction also aligns with the biblical accounts, which describe a divided monarchy after the death of Solomon. Israel, to the north, encompassed 10 tribes, while Judah, to the south, consisted of 2 tribes, including the House of David. It is fascinating how this ancient inscription, discovered more than 2 decades ago, continues to shape our understanding of biblical history. But, as with any archaeological discovery, controversies and unanswered questions emerge. One point of contention is the exact dating of the Tel Dan Stele. Some scholars argue for an early 9th century BCE origin, while others propose a later date. Precise dating could help us further unravel the historical context and its connection to the Bible. The Tel Dan Stele is a reminder of how ancient artifacts have the power to challenge our assumptions and illuminate the past. The Tel Dan Stele, with its bold proclamations of conquest and the mention of the House of David, stands as a testament to the political aspirations and strategic manoeuvring of King Hazael. It serves as a tangible link to the ancient past, inviting us to explore deeper and reconsider our understanding of the people, events, and narratives that have shaped human history. We're still in the 9th century BCE, and the ancient land of Moab is situated in present-day Jordan. It is here that an extraordinary artifact was discovered in the late 19th century, forever changing our understanding of biblical history. This artifact is known as the Mesha Stele, or the Moabite stone. The Mesha Stele is a large black basalt slab inscribed with an ancient script called Moabite. Discovered in 1868 by a German missionary, Frederick Klein, near the ruins of the biblical city of Dibon, the stele provides a fascinating glimpse into the world of the Moabite kingdom. This remarkable inscription tells the story of King Mesha of Moab and his triumphs against the Israelite kingdom. It describes the conflict between Moab and Israel, highlighting the events and battles that shaped the geopolitical landscape of the region. Nestled in the rugged terrain of the ancient Near East, the Kingdom of Moab thrived for centuries in what is now modern-day Jordan, reaching its pinnacle between the 9th and 6th centuries BCE. Located east of the Dead Sea and bordered by the kingdoms of Judah and Ammon, Moab's geographical position provided both opportunity and challenges. Its landscape consisted of arid deserts, deep canyons, and towering plateaus, which heavily influenced the way of life for the Moabites. The Moabites were a Semitic people, closely related to their neighbouring tribes. Their language, known as Moabite, was a dialect of the Canaanite language group. They were skilled in agriculture, animal husbandry, and trade, which helped them thrive despite the harsh desert conditions. The Kingdom of Moab shared a complex relationship with both the Kingdom of Judah and the Kingdom of Ammon. At times they were allies, while others they clashed over resources and territorial disputes. Moab's strategic location along the ancient trade routes made it a coveted prize for these neighbouring powers. It is also the home of a famous biblical account of the Moabite king Balak and the prophet Balaam. According to the book of Numbers, Balak sought Balaam's curse on the Israelites as they approached Moab. However, Balaam's blessing instead fell upon the Israelites, highlighting the power struggles and religious tensions between Moab and Israel. While Moab shared many cultural traits with other Canaanite tribes, they also developed a unique religious identity. The Moabites worshipped a pantheon of gods, with their chief deity being Chemosh, often depicted as a bull. Ritual sacrifices and offerings were made to appease the gods and seek their favour. The Mesha Stele mentions the god Chemosh, as well as the name of the Israelite god, Yahweh, and indicates the occupation of Moabite territories by the Israelites. The stele also corroborates certain biblical narratives, such as the Moabite oppression of Israel during the reign of King Mesha, as mentioned in the Book of Kings. These inscriptions provide us with valuable insights into the religious practices, politics, and conflicts of the ancient Near East. The downfall of Moab came with the expansion of the Neo-Assyrian Empire in the 8th and 7th centuries BCE. The Assyrians, under the rule of Tiglath-Pileser III and later Sennacherib, conquered and subjugated many neighbouring kingdoms, including Moab. The Assyrians asserted their dominance, demanding tribute and imposing their own governors to control the region. Furthermore, the Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar II, also had a significant impact on Moab. After the fall of Assyria, the Babylonians absorbed the former Assyrian territories, including Moab, into their empire. This marked the end of Moab's independence as a distinct kingdom. While the Kingdom of Moab ceased to exist as a political entity, its legacy endured through reference in various ancient texts, such as the Hebrew Bible, Mesopotamian annals, Egyptian inscriptions, and of course, the inimitable Mesha Stele. Cyrus the Great, also known as Cyrus II, reigned as the founder and first emperor of the Achaemenid Empire, spanning from 559 to 530 BCE. His accomplishments were not merely limited to establishing an empire, but his reign witnessed groundbreaking events that laid the foundation for future civilizations. Born in the ancient city of Anshan, Cyrus was destined for greatness from the start. His father, King Cambyses I, and grandfather, King Tepses, had already begun expanding their kingdom in the region of Persis, but it was Cyrus who would elevate their ambitions to unimaginable heights. What set Cyrus apart from his contemporaries was his enlightened approach to governance. Instead of adopting a policy of dominance and subjugation, he sought to foster unity amongst diverse peoples and cultures. Cyrus employed a remarkably tolerant and benevolent policy towards his conquered territories, earning him the title of Cyrus the Great and the respect of those he viewed. One of his most remarkable achievements was the famous Cyrus Cylinder, a clay cylinder inscribed with his policies and decrees. This ancient artefact, discovered in modern-day Iraq in 1879, served as a testament to Cyrus's commitment to human rights. The cylinder states that he freed the Babylonian people from their oppressive rulers and allowed them to practice their own religions freely. It's considered one of the earliest known declarations of human rights in history. The Cyrus Cylinder reflects the policy of Cyrus the Great to allow captive people, including the Jews, to return their ancestral lands and rebuild their temples. This resonates with the biblical account found in the book of Ezra. The connection between the Cyrus Cylinder and the Bible is particularly significant for the Jewish people. It symbolises their release from captivity and the fulfilment of prophecies regarding their return to Jerusalem. Cyrus's influence extended far beyond his kingdom's borders. In a feat of military genius, he embarked on a series of conquests that shaped the destiny of the ancient world. His military campaigns took him from the heart of Persia to Anatolia, the Levant, and even as far as Central Asia. However, unlike many conquerors of his time, Cyrus didn't seek to erase the cultures and identities of the land he conquered, but instead embraced their traditions and integrated them into his empire. Beyond his political and military achievements, Cyrus possessed a keen eye for urban planning and infrastructure development. The city of Pasargadae, his capital, was a marvel of architecture and urban design. Its most iconic structure, the Tomb of Cyrus, still stands today, showcasing the grandeur and elegance of Persian architecture. Cyrus's vision of a united empire, where diverse people could coexist, has left an indelible mark on history. The Cyrus Cylinder reveals Cyrus's desire to be seen as a liberator rather than a conqueror. It portrays his respect for different religious practices and his willingness to support the restoration of temples and sacred artefacts. His policies were continued by his successors, and the Achaemenid Empire would go on to become one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. Sadly, Cyrus's life came to an end when he died in battle during an expedition against the Massagetæ, a nomadic tribe in Central Asia. Nevertheless, his legacy lived on, and Cyrus the Great is remembered not only for his military conquests and impressive empire, but also for his benevolence, his respect for human rights, and his role as a visionary leader. His influence can be seen in the founding principles of modern societies that value tolerance, diversity, and the protection of human rights. Pilate saw that he wasn't getting anywhere and that a riot was developing, so he sent for a bowl of water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. The responsibility is yours." These are probably the most famous words of Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect who played a pivotal role in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. Gaius Pontius Pilate was born into a prominent Roman family, likely in the city of Rome itself. He rose through the ranks of the Roman political system, eventually finding himself appointed as the governor of Judea in the year 26 AD. Pilate's tenure coincided with a period of tension between the Roman occupiers and the Jewish population. Pilate's governorship was marked by a series of controversial incidents, one which still echoes through time: the trial and crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. According to the Gospel accounts, it was Pilate who ultimately made the decision to execute Jesus, despite finding no fault in him. We'll investigate Pontius Pilate and his tenure of governor of Judea in a later podcast, but right now we're going to fast forward to 1961. While excavating the ancient theatre in Caesarea Maritima, a coastal city in modern-day Israel, archaeologists unearthed a limestone block. What made this discovery extraordinary was an inscription etched into the stone, a name that sent shockwaves through the historical community: Pontius Pilate. The Pilate Stone stands as a rare and tangible link to the era of Roman rule in Judea. It measures approximately 82 by 65 centimetre and bears an inscription in Latin. The text reads, "Tiberium Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea, has dedicated to the people of Caesarea a temple in honour of Tiberius." The stone's significance cannot be overstated. Scholars, historians, and archaeologists have meticulously studied the Pilate Stone to unravel its mysteries and glean insights into Pilate's reign. Its discoveries provide concrete evidence of Pilate's existence, affirming the historical accounts mentioned in ancient texts such as the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. However, the Pilate Stone has not escaped controversy. Some skeptics argue it could be a forgery or a later addition, attempting to delegitimize its significance. But thorough analysis, including scientific methods such as paleography and geology, have debunked such claims, solidifying the stone's authenticity. The Pilate Stone is an independent source that attests to the existence of a governor named Pontius Pilate in the region during the time of Jesus. It adds an extra layer of historical authenticity to the biblical narratives that surround the trial of Jesus. The Pilate Stone not only confirms the historicity of Pontius Pilate, but also provides insights into the political and administrative structure of Roman-occupied Judea. Beyond its historical implications, the Pilate Stone evoked a sense of awe and curiosity. It transports us back to the tumultuous times of ancient Jerusalem, shedding light on the power dynamics, religious tensions, and cultural exchange prevalent during Pilate's rule. As we gaze upon the inscription, we are reminded of the choices made by Pilate, a man caught between his duty to the Roman Empire and the tumultuous demands of a diverse and deeply religious populace. The stone serves as a silent testament to the far-reaching consequences of his actions. Today, the Pilate Stone resides in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, carefully preserved and protected. Its presence continues to inspire researchers and historians to uncover further details about Pilate's reign and the events that unfolded during the 1st century CE. And that wraps up part 2 of Ancient Artefacts on They Didn't Teach That at School. Once again, thank you for listening to my ramble through the amazing and fascinating things that are being uncovered through archaeology. From the Tel Dan and Mesha Steles that proudly proclaim the victories and grandeur of ancient rulers, to the Cyrus Cylinder's virtual declaration of human rights, incredible artefacts that tie us to the ancient world are still coming to light. Don't forget to tune into my next podcast when we are going to look at how people lived in the 1st century Judea, the influence of Roman occupation on the populace, and what led Pontius Pilate to making his fateful decision to execute Jesus of Nazareth. From there, we will delve into sedition, rebellion, and the tumultuous events that led to the catastrophic destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE. I hope you've enjoyed this dive into ancient history and the quirky details that make it so intriguing. Stay curious, keep exploring, and remember, there's always more to learn. I'm Mark Kerrigan. See you next time on They Didn't Teach That at School.